Glory, we rise up never to fall. Glory, our nation, glory, we make our morning. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making our nation a joy forevermore. Ambaland, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty harmony. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God is the watchman of the nation. Ambaland, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty harmony. And your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God is the watchman of the nation.
Okay, Roger. Tell me exactly how you felt when you got up at 4 a.m. on the 22nd of September and looked at check your messages and saw what was happening home. Tell me exactly how you felt.
Oh, I was elated. I was smiling from joy to joy, like you can see me smiling now. I saw pictures of people convening, people marching towards their various palaces, marching to the various locations and destinations that the governing council had advised them to convene there. So I was happy. The people were peaceful. I was very, very happy, and I can't thank you that much. But thank you.
Why were you that elated?
Well, you know, for a very long time, some people have told us that we are delusional, right? That the people, our people, don't know what they want. That Cameroon is one and indivisible, that there's nothing wrong with Cameroon that cannot be fixed by what is right with Cameroon. You've heard all of these stories, and the people came out yesterday. We have never seen this before. We have never had the opportunity to look at where this thing is going. It has always been my views or your views or other people's views, but the people spoke loud and clear yesterday. So there is no longer any, there is no Thomas. Well, the Thomases saw it for themselves yesterday, because the people came out and they told the world that they are no longer interested in any kind of relationship with the Republic. Any sort of relationship with the Republic. They want to part ways with the Republic. It was loud and clear. The writing is on the wall for everybody, even the blind man can see it.
Okay, let me tell you what I did. At 4 a.m. I took up my phone and I opened the first message, and what I saw the head of some military people lined up, and the first video I saw of these people coming up, I think it was in Ambaland or something like that. And I saw these people coming. I mean, it was a sea of people. You couldn't see the end, yes, but you could see the people coming, and they were singing, "Home again, home again. When shall I see my home?" And the military people were standing, just standing there. And I started bawling. And I had to wipe my eyes many times. And I was so emotional. I'm glad I was alone, because I would have been terribly embarrassed. But there were tears of joy. I have always, and if you go and look at our past productions and other shows that I've done, I've always said our people are not cowards. Foncha took our people and challenged the British that we are not going to be part of Nigeria, and our people went with Foncha. They were not intimidated by the British. Frundi came and challenged the one-man dictatorship that was breathing fire in the whole of the Republic since its inception. And our people said they went with Frundi and they changed our country. And so what our people have lacked has been leadership, but I always knew our people are not cowards. And I think leadership is coming to meet the people where they are now, and the people, like you said, they are responding. My name is Augustine Nambe.
And I'm Roger Zakumbo.
And this is a special show. With some of these special shows, we bring our flag on on the set, because what we're really trying to do, we're trying to be analysts who are not biased, because one of the things that we don't want to do is lie to ourselves, because there's some people who lie to ourselves that we're something that we're not, or tell a certain, or twist it, or spin a certain thing to favor us. No, we don't do that. So we are people who we think, we spend a lot of time looking for information, and what we know we share with our people, and both the good and the bad. But today is not the 22nd. Today is the 23rd.
Today is the 23rd.
Yes. Now let's go to New York.
Yes.
Now, before we leave the territory, I saw a video of our citizens in a cock.
This is a cock at the frontier. You can see the guys are seriously agitating. Yeah, they're marching. They want their freedom. I know, you know, Biya must let them go. Yes, he must. He is nobody, and he will never mean anything to the Amazonians. This is the border between Cameroon, Southern Cameroon, and Republic of Nigeria. As I'm talking to you now, things are red hot. No, you can hear from yourself. Yeah, that's exactly what is happening here at the frontier. You can see the flags. You can see the flag. This is the borders. They have closed the border. They don't want us to cross to Nigeria, but we are there. You can hear them shouting, "They must go." They must go. They must go. It is happening right here. Oh, you can hear. It's happening right here. Yeah, you can see it happening live. It's happening live. If you can understand, this is him. He's Mr. Danny. He's Danny. The guy I have been talking to. I'm the youth president of Central Nigeria. 10 carrots. Free mention BBC. All those in the bunker. That is it. Our independent day. We are in a cup. We have held the Brazilian flag. No, you can see it by yourself. You can see it by yourself.
Whenever he ends, we have to give him more enablement.
Yeah, you can see it.
Like now,
see the police officers, they are just by hanging them. This is the international border between the Southern Cameroons and the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You can see it for yourself. Yeah, these ones are our dear comrades from Nigeria. Yeah. Okay, they are ready to sing the anthem of Southern Cameroons. See it happening live. You can watch for yourself. Yeah. You can watch for yourself. How are you? How are you? Yeah. Yeah. The office of the police, they all flee from their offices.
Yes, I can talk.
Yeah.
I'm the youth president from Central Chaham.
It's okay, it's okay.
Yeah. I will say, let the government of the public free bankers, free mention BBC, all those in the bunker, they should free them. And in the 1st of October, we still have independence. We want all the armies of the republic to leave our territory. So if you can see that the flag of the Southern Cameroon, the hostel and the truck in the border.
Yes, if I may ask you a question. What if they deny your plea to free Southern Cameroonians? What will be the next step?
Okay, if they deny not to free our detainees, we are going to have our self-defense by pushing all the deals in the human and human all to leave.
Okay.
Our national anthem.
Okay, they are about to sing their national anthem.
By the faith, if the Republic does not leave our suit, we are going to portray them. Glory, we rise and never to fall.
Here is a nation glowing with milk and honey. Glory, glory, glory to the Father for making you a nation and joy forevermore. Ambaland, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty in our need. And your children shall be left with us the world. The Most High God be the watchman of His nation. Ambaland, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty in our need.
Yeah, that's the anthem being sung. As you can hear, I tell you, the people are very enthusiastic. They really want their freedom.
They were on fire. I think they had, it was right at the border. I don't know what happened to the gendarme. Either they'd taken off or they were there. But they sang, they were screaming to hell, and they went and put down the flag of La République, raised the Ambazonian flag, sang the national anthem, and it was like...
No, when you say you don't know what happened to the gendarmes, I think the gendarmes themselves have come to the realization that these people are determined to get what they want. So whoever is giving some of them those instructions to shoot and kill our people, the majority of those gendarmes have a conscience too. And they can see that writing on the wall, that when some people are determined to get their freedom, it doesn't matter the amount of guns, the amount of dogs, the amount of water cannons or whatever you bring on them, those people are going to march forward. So I think they have come to the realization. I saw one lady, the gendarme lady, who was standing with the flag, with the Ambazonian flag, the Southern Cameroon's flag. She held the flag, held it up in support of the people, even though she turned her face the other way because she was in full-blown uniform. I respect that for her own security and for her own safety, because those people in Yaoundé being in their uniform are going to come after her. So I respect that. I respect the decision that she took. But I am looking at her heart. Where is her heart? She is
her heart is in the right place.
Exactly. So that's what I'm looking at.
Yes, her heart is in the right place, and she was holding a flag of freedom.
Yes.
She was not holding a green, red, yellow, which is a Frenchman's flag.
Yes. That
he designed and gave La République.
Yes.
You know, I don't want to go down repeating everything because La République is purely a French construct. They gave them their flag, they gave them the CFA franc, they gave them their national anthem. You know, if you go and read the national anthem of La République, it calls them savages. And that somehow they're being reformed from being savages by the French. And they sing it.
Yeah, I think, well, we can do a show on that, but let's focus on...
No, I'm not diverting. I'm just saying, when that gendarme holds the flag, right? That's the first freedom flag of Africa that she's actually holding. You hear what I'm saying? That's the first African flag. And they will need to change that uniform because the Frenchman designed it for them too. Tell me other, I watched a lot of other protests back home. All these postings that the people at the territory don't even know what service they're doing to the cause by holding your phone, film it, and send it abroad. So let's let them know we're watching them. I watched so many of them, but I don't remember some.
Yes, I mean the only reason you and I have a lot of material where we can dissect and say what happened, like what happened to SCBCTV, is because somebody is taking the risk to put themselves at risk there and document what is happening exactly. I think you guys have also seen requests from Skakoof and SCBCTV.
Yes.
Asking you people to get all those videos. When you get that video, before you send it out, give a little description of what happened.
And where you are.
And where you are.
Yes.
You don't need to give your name. Where you are, where you shot the video, so that we can document those stories and present them to the international community.
Yes.
The only reason we are succeeding It is not because of a lot of what we do here, it's part of it, but most of it is because of what you do. That is why the internet was cut, because they knew that that internet was an effective tool for us and for you to be able to tell your stories. Pictures don't lie. When you capture a picture, whether it's in a film or in a video or whatever, it does not lie. You cannot doctor it, you cannot manipulate it, so anybody can see it and take that message from there. You don't need to even tell anybody anything.
Yes.
So those people who are out there with their phones, that is why we encourage everybody to try to get a smartphone. I know it is not possible, but if you can, please do, because when you can capture those videos and send them out, the international community see it and everybody sees it, and it reinforces what we are telling them.
Yes, Roger, what I wanted to say, and you said part of it, what I wanted to say was that one of the reasons why our story is being told and told accurate is because we are telling our own story. If there was no internet and you were not filming or taking pictures and sending abroad and calling the news medias and all of that, they will come and frame the story, and the story they will frame will be telling lies. You remember when the situation in Ivory Coast was going on?
No, you don't need to go to Ivory Coast. Let's just go back to Swivitim's case.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Somebody sat in Yaoundé and wrote a communique and sent to lying CITV. And this guy, that I pity him so much, went and sat there and read it. Communicate from the President of the Republic that this is, and telling you what happened in Kifem. Luckily, because of your videos, because of your vigilantiness, you were able to tell the world exactly what happened.
Yes.
Those videos contradicted
everything.
That story that those people came up from the presidency. So if those videos were not there, that would be the storyline.
Yes, and the world will go with it, and because they've mistold our story, that's why we've lost our country, we've lost our businesses, we've lost our citizens to the guns of terrorists. We've lost almost everything. But what was the biggest lie that was told yesterday? You know, that same I don't want to say CRTV showed it, but I do know that the website of the Presidency of La Republique went and put a fake picture of Paul Biya going somewhere, and they say he was going to Trump's African summit with other African leaders. Wasn't that the biggest lie?
Well, you know, the people have no shame, so they are going to try. And I don't know whether he himself sits there and looks at all those things, because they are trying to do a PR campaign. They are trying to catch up, but the wall has left them already. That man is standing right there naked.
He's standing naked.
You could see him even when he was addressing the United Nations General Assembly.
The hall was empty.
It was empty. Everybody left. Even
yes.
Robert Mugabe had a better attendance than him. There was nobody in the hall.
Yes, he's a pariah. He's a pariah.
I'm not making this up. You can, I mean, those videos, we are sharing them. You guys can see that. I don't know what CITV showed you back home during his address, but the hall was empty. That man is naked. He should have even brought his wife to sit there and clap for him.
And you know, and so that is I think we branch off to talk about this because we're trying to say that we are telling our story. You are telling it effectively. Before you put up any video, tell us where you're filming from. I do know the ECOC one because the guy was actually announcing that we're in ECOC, and he was commenting. Mm-hmm. So when you put it, because some of the videos they do, the person putting it up does write where it's coming from. But when we download them, we download so many that sometimes when you go, you cannot tell where exactly where it's coming from, and to go and do the research to find again, it spends time, especially if it's a story that we need to share with our people. So thank you for continuing to do that.
Yeah, and to emphasize that point again, I saw a message from somebody in Fundong or Bello, one of those places, sending a communique out that there were a few of our people who had been abducted from Fundong or Bello, one of those, or Njinicom, and they were taking them to Bamenda. He was asking the people in Bibobanki to intercept that vehicle. So we had no videos from Fundong or any of those. I don't know if you saw any of them. And that is why we are saying those things are very important. Even if you see a police or a gendarme interacting with somebody and you feel it is suspicious, look for a better place, take out your phone and film, even if you don't know what it's going to lead to, but document it. Just document it and have it and share it and send it out with people. If you fear your safety, as soon as you send it to a few people, ask them to send it out and you can delete it from your phone.
Yes, I want to re-emphasize the documentation. You know, the morning when it was supposed, you know, they had La Republica said everybody must go to school on that day. It was just 2 weeks, a week or two ago. So I got up in the morning, and the first video that I saw was of this patriot who was in Victoria, drove on Chase Street, drove around town, went up to mile one and showed everything, and the streets were, I mean, his commentaries were good, but he didn't even have to say anything.
Exactly.
It was documenting. Then there was another individual in Bamenda who drove from City Chemist roundabout all the way to T Junction and then turned around and went back again, showing how the whole place was dry. And when you send out that information, we can speak very clearly. And I can tell you what, when the world do their research about what's going on, they come to us, they come to the internet, they come to that material, and that's why they can report accurately. So the ground happened.
Yes, it happened.
That was the mother of all
demonstrations. Yes. It happened in every village. It happened in every town. It happened. The phones, I think there was a I don't know if it's BBC.
BBC? Is BBC?
Yes, but I mean, you know, sometimes when they type out those informations on these Android phones, they recorrect it and put out information that is not accurate.
Yes.
So please, sometimes when you type, make sure before you send it, correct. Make sure that the phone accepts the spelling that you are giving them.
Yes.
So if this BBC, it came out as BC. So make sure the phone accepts the spelling that you want before you send out that message. So we should have the right information. But you saw the phone.
Yes.
The phone came out. He had to be helped by some of his subjects to come and sit and talk and listen to the people.
He joined the people. He did not take off like the phone of
Nso. He did not take off.
Yes.
And I did not see the phone of Nso. Maybe there's a video, but there were people in his palace yesterday.
Yeah. Well, the son of Nso needs to come out and join his people. You are our fund. We depend on you. Our fundum is hereditary. So we're not going to go elect another fund now unless you force people to do something different. Please come back and join your people because your people have moved on. Am I correct about that?
No, you are very correct. You are very correct. Well, let me not even go there. Let's stay with these videos. There was one video that really touched me. It really, really, really touched me. There was this old lady that could not even stand. You could see her walking. She was bent over. You could tell that this lady had walked all her life.
And she was waiting for this day to happen.
And she mustered the last energy that she had to come out and walk with a peace plant and walk with her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. She might have been one of the people that voted or opted for this union with La Republique. And she has come to the realization that she made a mistake, and before the last days that God has given her, she is going to join her children to right that wrong that has been done to us. That to me was the video of the day. And I'm asking myself, the people who did not take part in these demonstrations yesterday, for whatever reason, if you watch that grandmother, I want you to think, what is it that you think is left with that grandmother? You still have a future in front of you, but that grandmother, her days are numbered, and she wants to do the right thing. What about you?
It's a very good question, and I want to emphasize the fact that, or the greater importance of that grandmother and everybody who came out that day. They were coming out in defiance of the governor of the Northwest. I know about the Northwest. I don't know what the idiot in Southwest said, because my understanding is that the governor of the Southwest came out and called our people dogs. Have you heard of that?
He's done that so many times, isn't it?
Yes. And you know, they used to call us les ennemis dans la maison. They used to call us
enemies in the house.
No, le Biafra.
Well, our people need to understand.
They've called us, but if you they've called us Anglos. But if you look at that, all of these are human beings. We may be Anglo fools, but we're still human beings. Stupid, right? We may be les ennemis dans la maison, but we are still humans. We may be le Biafra, but we're still humans. The degenerates start calling us dogs and rats, and you know that that's what they did in Rwanda before they went on the massacre. So if you realize, there was a time when we were human beings who were against them, but now we're becoming animals, and I don't know what they think in their mind, but what they've told us is that we're animals. And that is one of the, I don't know what he said, but definitely the governor of the Northwest went out of his way and read certain laws and talked about consequences. Do you have some that you can mention to us?
Sure. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Yeah.
So these people were not going out happily like we're just going to go protest. No, you were going to go protest knowing that the colonizer has gun happy, trigger happy troops, terrorists that run around the place, and you knew their guns were there, but you still went out. I mean, look, when I looked at that, that's what I was crying for. When I looked at that, I bawled. I couldn't control it, because our people are showing that we are determined, and no guns are going to keep us from taking what is ours.
Yeah, it's regional order number 022 for the Northwest region, and he cites a couple of laws. Then he says, considering the necessity of the maintenance of law and order and internal security of the state, hereby orders as follows. Article 1. Movement of persons from one division to the other in the Northwest region is hereby strictly prohibited for a period of 24 hours. Article 2. The period shall, they can't even write English. The period shall from Thursday the 21st of September 2017 at midnight to Friday the 22nd of September 2017.
Okay, pass stop there.
At midnight.
Yes, and I think we just wanted to the point is to let you know that the colonial governor passed all these fake colonial laws. He was not elected by anyone. He was appointed. He comes into our territory wearing a military uniform. Why do they wear that? Why do they wear that? Do you know?
It's from France. It's from France.
They are in France. Do they appoint their governors in France, or they elect them?
Well, they elect them. Well, it is their thing. We don't have to worry about that.
I mean, these people are existing in our territory as though we are in the 17th century. Here are people who come and they meet a superior culture, because there's no way you can control. You can take a colonial system that exists in La République and compare it with a free system that exists in the southern Cameroons, and that has been their biggest problem. They're trying to take us behind, and you should know that in people's minds, once they've gained more information, you can never bring them back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so here are people who elected their prime minister. Do you know that even in our African traditional custom, we have a chief, but that chief depends on, it's a very democratic system. That chief has quarter heads, and those quarter heads rule the quarter, right? And you get to be a quarter head or a chief by some merit.
Yes.
We don't sit in Bamenda where we used to elect our officials, our government, and then suddenly some idiot comes from some backward place and come and start trying to mouth some colonial law so that our people can obey.
Yeah, that's.
There was a time when we did that, but the time that we were doing that, we did not quite understand what was going on, and so we complained that this is not right. They ignored us. Then we tried to reform it, thinking that we can democratize it. That's what SDF was trying to do. They ignored us. Everything that we send, they take and they play a spin on it, and it becomes something that benefits them. You remember, SDF had talked about toll gates. Toll gates means you collect money and use that money to maintain the roads. And the reason why you collect it from people driving that road is so that the people driving that road should fund so that that road
should be maintained.
Should be maintained. You know what they did? They instead took that money, embezzled it, and you know the gate in Santa is a typical example. It's a typical example. So everything that we've done to improve the quality of their colonial state, of their colonial mindset, they've taken it and rubbished it. And so we've reached a point where we are saying, we are done with you.
Yeah, but
so when he stands, when I read that thing that night, I was praying that our people should not obey colonial laws. And so when I got up in the morning and I saw that the rebellion is bigger than anything they've seen, I took my hat off our people, and I'm so glad I'm one of you, and we are never going to be intimidated by fear.
Yes, no, he cannot come out and make laws by himself. What he wrote out normally will be tabled into the house of the people, the people's house, for it to be debated before it will come into law. He cannot just sit in his office and write some stupid document and begin to call it Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, as if it was adopted by the people.
By who?
So we that is not how we do business. That is not how we are going to do business. Our business is going to be the people's business. And when there are things like this, we will get the people's representatives to come and debate it before they can be put into law. Well, that's how it's done in the Republic. We are just telling them that don't come and do it to us.
But he was right about one thing.
What?
He put consequences for the disobedience of that law. And unfortunately for him, the consequences are on him. Because our people came and violated them. And he said when there's any violation, there will be consequences. Now, I think he needs to take the consequences, and part of the consequence is to move out.
Well, yeah, that is true. He said there will be consequences, but that was a way of intimidating the people.
No, I don't think even he gets it. The consequence, is he going to put another law again? Because they'll disobey that one.
Yes.
Is he going to put another one? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Well,
so there's a consequence. If he's smart, he should follow up with the consequence and say, okay, so we put the law and these people disobeyed. He should call his master in Yaoundé and say, mon patron, I know we're in a very weak situation. I saw the way they treated you. Do you know that they treated him in Washington, in New York, that shabbily, because of how he's handled our situation?
But that is the whole thing, and that is what we are telling our people, that those videos and everything that they are sending out, they are working. This guy was treated, even if a second-class chief came here, that second-class chief will have a better treatment than a United States, than a president of a country. This guy was basically shunned. He was ignored. He was humiliated, and he couldn't even sleep. He couldn't hide. I don't know where those his people who were drumming and
first of all, there were a few of them, and
all the people.
Yes, and most of them were paid to be there. But we've already discussed that. Let's come now to New York.
No, and we are actually in New York already.
Yes.
So let's look at it. We showed you videos and other things that they hired a car, put the president's wife's picture in front of it, and told them, welcome to New York. The CPDM of New York is happy to have you here, and all that stuff. Right?
All paid for.
All paid for.
Each of them were, just like the gendarme who was holding the flag.
Yes.
All of these people were doing exactly what the gendarme was doing. He took and showed the picture, hid his face to protect himself, and that lady was doing the right thing by hiding her face.
Yes.
These people were all paid, and they were paid hands to go there and put this fake. But it ended up very badly. I felt sorry for Paul Biya.
Yes, because you cannot pay your way everywhere you go.
No.
So when the time came, as addressing the United Nations General Assembly is a prestigious event for any president. When you are called upon to address your colleagues from other countries, the United Nations General Assembly, it is a prestigious thing. When his turn came, he could not pay people to come and sit in there.
No, he could not pay people. But let me say this though. Going back to the consequences of the governor's action, right? For everything La Republique has done, there is a consequence. That's why I said the governor was right that there is a consequence for putting whatever he put out. You see, for shutting down the internet, there was a consequence. The whole world now focused on our story. for bringing their terrorists to come and terrorize students at the university, rape them, rob them in mud, kill them. There was a consequence, and that's the consequence they're seeing in New York. And I can tell you another consequence. The consequence is that I think it's just a matter of time, and we can come back to talk about that, but it's just a matter of time before they pack out, and it'll all be a consequence of all the work we've done over 56 years, and they ignored us. We did everything to say, look at you, are our African brothers. You are African brothers. I will call you a brother now when it comes to Africa. And we were trying to show you the light. And you thought we were fools. You thought we were Baminda. You know, I'm so amazed how these people can treat us so badly and yet want their children to come and pack our secondary schools in order to get what we have, which they publicly say is bad. Do you get that? But what Paul Biya finally was getting in New York was a consequence of the way they've handled things. See, they are not living in a vacuum, and they think that they can make laws, wake up in their beds and make laws and send people to go and terrorize people to obey. No, there is we talked about John Locke the other day, right? John Locke was not a scientist, but he developed his thought not by imagining it. He actually developed it from Francis Bacon. And Francis Bacon was a biologist who came and said there is what they call inductive thinking and deductive thinking. Inductive thinking means you sit in your bed and you write, and then it becomes law. Okay? You know, humans have existed for thousands of generations. And the reason why they never accomplished a lot was because the world was ruled by inductive thinking. And about 300 years ago, Francis Bacon came and said, you know, and he was studying leaves. He said the best way to understand anything out there is to go out, observe it, document it, and let that thing tell its story. And because of that, they started accumulating scientific information, and they started accomplishing. And that's how, within the last 100 years, we've revolutionized life on Earth. It is through a scientific process. And so John Locke came and said, if knowledge is not in the head of people to then pass on to others, if knowledge is out there for everybody to go and discover, then everybody has that opportunity to go and discover that knowledge, and it will benefit them. And that was in the scientific world. Then he translated that into the social world, and said laws shouldn't be made by what people think. That there's a natural law out there where if you make decisions or make man-made laws that contradict that natural law, it will fail. And so a good law is not a law that people go and meet in parliament and say, here's the law. It's more the one that fits with nature, with the natural law.
Yeah, what people do.
Yes. So when the governor goes and say, I don't want you to walk, people say, no, we have a field, we will walk. What would you do? And he did nothing. But there's a consequence, and that consequence happened in New York. I think it's just a matter of time, and it will happen on the ground, and they will pack out.
No, it's happening already. You heard about the Jew in Santa, what happened to him and other Jews around the country. And the Gendarmerie brigades, where the people went there, hoisted the flag, and did all of that. So it is happening already. The people are on the march, and we are so proud of you. We can't say more. Just keep doing what you are doing, and you know the time is coming.
Let's conclude in New York. So in New York, there was a huge crowd, and
there are refugee people on the other side. NYPD caught in the middle.
I saw pictures of these ladies in Holland. I don't know. Look, we are in this struggle, right? But I get surprised by how coordinated. There's an invisible hand that's going around guiding all of us.
We want to be free.
want to be free like Ghanaians, to be free like Kenyans, to be free like South Africans, to be free, but police they shoot our people them down. Shoot our people down. Politicians say make them shoot them down. Say make them shoot them down. But one day fire go burn them down. One day the table go turn them down. One day the powers go knock them down. And which kind of government is this? Take me down to England. I want to see the Queen. I want to show her the bullets them use on my brothers. I know she's a mother to every child. That's my mama. I know that mother won't let me down. We want to be free. We want to be free like Ghanaians, to be free like Kenyans, to be free like South Africans.
But that was so beautiful.
Yes.
That was so beautiful.
Yes, and where they couldn't do it, the Takundun came out as it normally comes out. And we are still proud of that, and we still encourage them to do whatever they can to keep educating the rest of the population. Those in their contingents who are still sitting on the fence, those who are not coming out, keep educating them. But I believe from my heart of hearts that anybody who did not come out yesterday, I cannot tell you how many phone calls I have received. But those who did not come out yesterday feel that they have been left behind. So I guarantee you, by the time October 1st comes around, it's going to be a different ball game.
Yes, and it's a different ball game. And I want to say that all of what we've been talking about is a reaction to what the UN and the British did to us in 1961. Instead of giving us our independence, they treated us like children and gave us into colonization, into a third colonization. Now, where La Republic went wrong, and they could have really adopted us, but what they did wrong was come into our territory and think that we're some tribal people who are not coordinated, speaking different languages, and so they'll come and do what the Germans did to us. Teach us a new language, destroy what we have, and create their own. And so that's why they made our roads going east instead of running through our own territory, which was wrong. And so, but they forgot that we are living people. We are growing. And that's why we complain first when they didn't react. We try to suggest, like in SDF, like I said, if they did not react. And so we are grown up now. We're not going to be behaving like children anymore. And so it was all of what we're doing now is, and I want to really put this, I want to put this on record, that the murders that we've been murdered, the destruction of our economy, the destruction of our government, the UN and the British bear responsibility for that. Do you have anything to add to that? Because people are wondering, how do we find ourselves in the situation that we're reacting now? It's the British and the UN that put us into that situation, and they knew that they were giving us to slave dealers. Because the French have never loved that colony, and they've never developed them to become. You wonder why Francophones don't understand what we're doing? It's because they've never been. I hate to say they've never been guided that they are human beings and have a right. Because before the Germans came, we as African people were living that life. So I don't understand why they don't understand that we are fighting a colonial system.
You know what? It's called education. That is what it is. If you don't get the education that empowers you, that educates you as it's supposed to be, then somebody is going to do the thinking for you. And when that person does the thinking for you, like Frank is doing for the people in La Republique, you can name it. It's either it's Togo, it's Cote d'Ivoire, any of those countries. When you don't think, when you let these people think for you, then they design you or program you to act in such a way that is going to benefit them. So these people that we are talking about have refused to see that they are hired hands as you describe them. They are acting for the interest of France and not for their own personal interest. It is like you have the right to decide what your future is going to be, and you take that right and you hand it to some other person. That person is going to decide that future for you, not based on how you feel, but on what he thinks is going to benefit him. So they design your flag, they design your money, they tell you that you have to store 50% of your foreign
earnings in their treasury, yes.
And then they can take that money
and loan it back to you. And you pay a very high interest on it. You don't complain, because all of that benefits them. But if you had the kind of education that the Ghanaians and Nkrumah had, you see, or Patrice Lumumba, because it's not all of them. Patrice Lumumba was a very dedicated Congolese. But you know what? The French and all the other people came in and said, this guy is a socialist. He is in alignment with Russia. Let us take him out. And they took him out. So when the other guy, Thomas Sankara, that we talked about, when he came along, when Sékou Touré in Guinea, all of these people, what did France do in Guinea? They printed fake currency, yes,
and dumped it into the Guinean economy,
yes,
to collapse it,
yes, and
because these people were thinking for themselves
and sponsored rebels against them.
Yeah,
just so that they shouldn't move forward.
They always have people within those countries, like they have the Mosonges and the Achidiachus and all the people, the other people now, John Frundi included, now that are being used as instruments to
Atanganji,
keep
Ndumu,
all of them.
Ndumunji,
you know. So that is what they have done when you don't have that ability to see through what they are doing. And
no, let me say this. I do think some of them do see through, but the difference with the people with the people of Ambazonia is that we have the courage to say enough is enough. I think we have the spirit of Patrick Henry, who says, give me liberty or give me death. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you one thing: a lot of humans think that they have power over others. No, you don't have. The reason I kind of a thought came through my mind, and here's the thought: if you look at Nazi Germany, right, mm-hmm, under Adolf Hitler, mm-hmm, they were reacting to impositions by the French mostly after the Second World War. Okay, they were in they started in a self-defense mode, and so their nationalism developed out of self-defense. They were trying to survive the impositions of the Versailles Treaty, which totally bankrupted Germany. Mm-hmm. And so Hitler came, and he may have extended it more than he needed to, but it was a thing for self-defense and self-preservation. They were defending themselves. The French took all of that and made it an offensive weapon, mm-hmm, in Africa. Okay? You come to a people, and the people accept you, and they allow you to colonize them, and you treated them like animals. You know what I'm saying? Because what is being practiced in colonial Africa, colonial states in Africa, is pure Nazism that was brought there and it's been made. You see, you were talking about this monetary thing. Mm-hmm. It's exactly what the Germans did when they came to France, when they took over France. They designed a system like that, and Charles de Gaulle just copied the same thing and brought it to colonial Africa. And they have refused to accept advances not only in the world in terms of human development, but the development of the economy of the world. And they have sworn that the only independence that Africans will get will be the independence of France. And I can tell you that the people of Southern Cameroon did not come from that tradition, and we are moving on. And I'm so proud that our people did not fail us.
Exactly.
Ambazonia, land of freedom, you shall live in plenty in our need.
Yeah, that's the anthem song. As you can hear, I tell you, the people are very enthusiastic. They really want that.
But this thing was masterminded by the British. Mm-hmm. And somehow, in our protest, we have ignored them. Is there a reason? Do you think? Can you imagine why we haven't concentrated on the British being the perpetrators of a situation in which we find ourselves now?
Well, I think our people have done, some of the protests at the British Embassy, the British House of Commons. I mean, some of the MPs they have received our People's Sissoko went through them. But I think the reason, in my belief, and I have said this before in one of our matches here during the winter months, I said the United Nations has unfinished business in our territory. And why am I focused on the United Nations? Whatever Britain did, we were a trust territory of the United Nations. And the British were just an administering authority. So that administering authority, the United Nations had the powers to make sure that that trusteeship relationship was terminated according to the United Nations articles, charters and articles and all of that stuff. The United Nations did not do that. So the United Nations had an obligation to hold Britain to its responsibility as the administering authority of that trusteeship territory. So the United Nations failed there. So whatever Britain and France did, the United Nations was the supreme authority that allowed that to happen. So I always, if I have to give Britain blame and the United Nations blame, I'll probably give the United Nations 90% and give Britain 10%, because it is the United Nations that allowed that nonsense to happen. So our people, Britain can really, as a country now, and how things are set up, can really, it can only, and I have seen some communiques from their embassies in London and in Cameroon saying that they support La République. So basically what they are saying is that they support the current structure of La République
that they're sticking to the decision they made in 1961.
Okay,
that's what they're saying.
Well, if they are sticking with it, and then the ambassador, the British ambassador in La République du Cameroon has not been very, very favorable. They have not put out information as of what is happening to us, what La République is doing to us. But what I'm going to tell my people is this: it doesn't matter whether Britain is sticking with the decision that they made in 1961 or whether they are sympathetic. It does not matter. The choice and the decision is in our hands. The United Nations, whether it likes it or not, if we come and tell the United Nations we are not going to be part of La République, they have no choice but to accept.
Yes, I'm going to come to that. I just wanted us to stay with Britain for a little longer. You know, well, my understanding is that Britain made a strategic decision, because when you talk of the United Nations, you're really talking. Remember in Atlanta,
Dr. Munzu.
No, not Dr. Munzu, but Professor Carson Anyangwe. He said that resolutions of the General Assembly do not count. It is the resolutions of the Security Council that count. And when you talk of the Security Council, you talk of Britain, France, United States, China, and Russia. And so, as a member of the Security Council, what Britain was doing, before I say that, Gojidinka has said that the British, and Gojidinka made a lot of research on this, and it was material he read. He said that the British decided that they are going to make their will, not the will of the UN, to prevail in Southern Cameroon, and to do that, they will keep Southern Cameroon, they will keep the UN from having direct contact with Southern Cameroonians.
Okay? Yeah, and that is why I'm...
The only reason I'm saying this is because for some reason we have been very critical of the UN, critical of the French, who are actually the beneficiary of what the British did.
Yes, Professor Anyangwe talked about those resolutions, but remember he also said resolution 1608 sub 15 was not like any other UN resolution.
No, I understand that, and I'm not trying to give a break to the UN.
Yeah, so what
it is still the UN.
Yes, so what I'm saying is that even if Britain made that decision, that it would not have the United, because I know there was a UN observer that they blocked from coming to our territory.
Yes.
The UN, whatever they did, there was a third option which we wanted to be independent. What I am saying is that the UN, in its capacity as the organization that created these trust territories, failed its charter. It did not respect its charters. It did not respect its articles. So it failed woefully. So when we are going there, we are going to the United Nations because that is the place where all nations come. And we are telling them that this is where you failed us. Whether it was you just was blindsided by what Britain was doing or it was willful action, but we need to point out to them that the reason we are doing what we are doing today is because this is where you failed us, and this has been the consequences of that failure.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the buck stops with the UN.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you know, people of La Republic are very convinced that we will not go anywhere, partly because they believe that there's Biya and his forces. Obviously, I think a lot of them are getting disappointed now. You remember, Sissoko said first they would laugh at you, then I don't want to go through all this. They'll laugh at you, then they'll hate at you,
They'll ridicule you,
and then you win.
You.
Of course, they're at the stage where they are hating us because they've ridiculed us enough, and we've continued to move on. So if you go on there's a speech by Sissoko that's on Esteem Television website, and it's a very good speech. And when I was looking at the comments by citizens of La Republique, they were all really hate speeches. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so we're at that stage where they will hate you, and then you win. And I looked at it, and I did not see any of our people making comments, but you saw the likes are like way up there and the dislikes are down here. Mm-hmm. So you can tell you that our citizens have gone past what the citizens of La Republique are saying, because they don't know very much. They are slaves, and I don't call them slaves in the same as they call us dogs. I'm just saying you are a slave because you are in that mentality and you're suffering the effects of slavery. You're not fighting back, so you are a slave because you're accepting the master's imposition on you, hook and sinker. You need to wake up, learn from us, and maybe you want us to free ourselves before you learn from us. But I can tell you one thing: this is the only time we're going to teach you, because once we're done with you, we'll forget about you, the same as we were not thinking about you when the British gave us to you. Okay, so and I was talking about the citizens of La Republique because they don't think we're going to be free. So I'm asking you, after all these protests and everything we're doing now, what next?
No, what next is that our people need to continue to they have started taking the powers from the colonial governors and SDOs and all that stuff. So you have to take that power now and keep it. So the people need to start organizing themselves like we used to be, where the governing authority now has to be dedicated to the palaces, to the quarterheads. So that is how people are going to start organizing.
And to the governing council.
So the governing council will give them directives. I think Sissoko said that the people should stay in the palaces.
That they should. No, he said that they should. Any. I think, and he was addressing the situation in Mamfe where the SDO, whoever, ordered people to be shot. Yes. And he said in our territory we do know something called citizen arrest, and that these people should be arrested and taken to the Fonds Palace. Mm-hmm. And I think that the governing council from the Fonds Palace will now instruct the Fonds Palace on what to do.
Yes.
So that's one of the one next.
Yes. So yes, people need to be organizing themselves that way. Please don't listen to the church. Please don't listen to the church, because the church could have been part of this authority where you can take directives, but you have seen who's.
No, the church is in partnership with the government.
That's what I'm saying. That
yes, the church came out at the beginning. I don't know what happened to them then. They saw very clear what was going on, and they left the record, and they're all backing out of that record. So the church is in cahoot with the government, and that's why the governor was in front of Sacred Heart speaking. And you know why? Part of it is economic interest, because the church is a business and they're out there making money, and with schools not going, they're losing money.
Yeah, and they're lying to you that they are doing God's work. So you need to be able to see through that. So the church is not going to be one of those authorities that you listen to. The governing council will be giving you directives, the funds. If you don't trust in the dealings of your fund, then you need to organize yourself into your quarter heads and listen to each other. You have to listen to each other. You have to be vigilant. You have to pay attention, listen to each other, protect each other.
And they need to communicate information so that the governing council has information so that they can instruct you on how to go about it.
Let nobody be taken out of your community. Let nobody be taken out of your community. If you suspect anything, you have your whistle, blow your whistle. Even if the mothers are in the farm, they should leave what they are doing in the farm and come out. Nobody is going to be taken out of our community anymore.
Okay, so that is one. What next?
Yes.
But you know that is not gonna give us the type of independence that we need legitimately to form partnerships around the world and have access to the world as the world has access to us.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to do more than that.
No, absolutely. What we are telling the people what they are doing at the home front.
Yes.
We out here and the governing council, I believe, are doing that diplomatic offensive. We have shown the world in yesterday, specifically, when this guy went to address the United Nations, there was nobody there. So the world is watching us, the world is listening to us. So we will continue to put those pressures on the international community. I think this is time that we should be leaving New York and heading straight to those capitals around the world and inviting those people to come and join us to pull us out of this mess with our republic. So we'll be looking for those opportunities for those countries who are sympathetic to our cause to pick us up from there, and then we can move on. So what we are giving directives to the people at the home front, but then we have our own load of the work over here that we are going to be doing to move things forward.
Let me say this, okay? I'm so happy you're saying what you just said, because really what next is that we will continue with our protest and even escalate it, because I've been hearing about IEDs going on in the territory right now, that there are bombs, and because you can only put people at a corner for so long. So our people have did all the non-violence. We've come out massively, and the good thing about us, and hopefully this good thing will not make things escalate anymore, is that our story, the whole world knows our story. Okay, so what we need to keep doing the same thing, otherwise we escalate it, and we're not going to escalate it because we like it, but just because when somebody steps on your toe, it hurts, and when that toe, as long as that toe is hurting, you're not going to stand there and keep bearing the pain. At some point, you're going to decide that just kill my whole body, otherwise don't step on my toe. And that's what I call escalation. And as we escalate, the cost of our colonization will become more and more expensive. You know, for the longest time, La République came and destroyed, and there was no reaction. It was cheap. In fact, it was profitable to come and invade our land. And with our rebellion now, it's becoming more and more expensive. Because now they have their colonial troops all around the place, so they're paying them overtime. Otherwise, there will be a rebellion in it.
They don't have overtime in Cameroon.
Well, I mean, but
they pay them on Monday side. They give them. Some of them are hungry.
Yes,
they
yes.
Begging for food for our people.
Yes.
And our people being so generous, because I don't know if I can do that. Our people being so generous are still giving them food. You know, there was a time I was thinking that don't sell them food. So some of those people don't want to be there.
No, they don't. But the little. You see, when you have an impoverished country, a country that's impoverished mentally and impoverished physically, a country that has no imagination, no plan of development, you have one sellout in the person of Paul Biya. Remember when Paul Biya was younger and was in Paris, all his classmates were running to New York, to the UN, to fight for independence. He refused because he wanted to serve the French in his country. So that's a sellout. I'm looking for the name that the French used to call those who cooperated with Nazi Germany colonizing France, and I can't get the name. Collaborators. Yes. So you're having a collaborator who has been ruling your country for 34 years. That's why there's no imagination. And so the impoverishment is not only of a citizen, it's also of the military.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes those guys cannot be paid.
Yes.
They don't have money to pay them.
And that's why there's the corruption on the roads where they stop the harass citizens because they have the gun. So it's a country ruled by guns. You give the gun to the poor man who does not have enough salary. Then he uses the gun to extort from the population. That's what they went and were doing in Kifem. You know what I'm saying? So it's an impoverished place. But what our people need to keep doing is make the cost of that keep increasing. But even if they're not paying them overtime, they need to hire more.
Yeah, they need
because they need to see, it's like cover pot. They pot the boil, so they have to keep holding it down everywhere. Trying to hold it down, and it will be costly. It will be costly. So the more we do what we're doing, either peacefully or through escalation, it causes the cost increases, and the cost is not only increased to the public, it increased to the whole world. And that is where we know, because and the only reason I'm saying this is because we need the world to join us in getting a permanent solution.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
We are paying for the price now, but we've reached a point where we're making it cost like the public, and it will start costing the world. And so just keep doing what we're doing, and there will be a resolution coming sooner or later. I think Pobia already feels that. They know that if they go and open their guns like they went and did in Boy and at the students, they know that they'll be kicked out faster. That's why they didn't shoot.
Well, they shot 8 people, which we are going to talk about them towards the end of this show.
Yes.
And what I'm telling our people is that these soldiers who shoot unarmed civilians protesting with leaves, who have not done anything to anybody, there is a price that these people have to pay. And we are going to make these people live in our communities. We know where they live. Even if they came from La Republique, there are some of them that live in our community. They say in English sometimes that if somebody cannot get to you, they will get to your dog.
Okay, so I want us to end this show with the positives that our people have accomplished, because if we were celebrating what happened yesterday, it's because it moved our struggle forward. Okay, and I made some points here. I want us to take a look at them one at a time. So one of the good things that has happened from this struggle is that the international opinion has changed in our favor. Agreed?
That's true. Yeah, the international community has always been with us. It is just
no. I don't think so. If they have, then we will not be in this thing for 56 years.
Well, remember that you have to do your own lifting.
That is true.
You have to do your own lifting, because this thing has been set up like this. So nobody wants to sit and be accused of going to tear up some other person's country. But when you start doing your own lifting like we are doing out now, then some of those people can come out openly and endorse what you are doing and support you and then prompt you and move you forward. So now we are doing the heavy lifting and things are going to change faster.
Yes, and the reason why the international opinion changed is because we told the story.
Yes.
We told our own story with our Android phones.
Yes.
So keep doing that.
Isai Chiruma tried and failed.
Yeah, he tried. He really tried.
Yes.
But because he's a liar and he thinks that everybody else is stupid, he gets up there and I remember a certain interview that was given by the journalist of Al Jazeera, one lady like that. He pressed the man couldn't answer questions that were obvious.
Yes.
And for there was a time when VOA and BBC were not covering our story anymore. But they've come back now, and I think what they're hoping was that the story would die.
Well, I have said this, and I've said this to our people here in Minnesota. These people are in the news business. They only cover what is newsworthy. If you want your story to meet that criteria of what is newsworthy, you have to make the noise for them to be, and that is what we are doing now, and that is why we are getting the coverage. So make yourself newsworthy, make yourself essential, and they will be there to cover your story.
By the way, the New York Times did write an article on what happened yesterday.
Yes, if you start featuring the New York Times, know that you are going somewhere, because that is an internationally renowned newspaper. Yes,
but I want to say something about what you said though. I don't think the BBC and the VOA are coming out because they started covering like 3 weeks ago, where they invited Barrister Bobga. I remember he spoke with the VOA, he spoke with Deutsche Welle radio, but that is when that's when they released
Well, yeah, but that's why. No, but you have to look at it. You said 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
Today is the 23rd of September, right?
Yes.
Okay, 3 weeks ago was when schools were starting.
Yes, and they released Bala and the other people.
Yes, so that makes news.
Yes.
For them, so it falls same in line with what I'm talking about.
Yes.
So they and then there's the school burnings and all those kind of things, and they are trying to address it and find out what is happening.
Yes, and then there's the letter written by the senators to the Secretary of State to take action on this. So that's the next thing. When senators in the United States start paying attention to the struggle, then they start getting to the government of the United States, in which case it's a foreign office, which is the State Department. So there's that going on, and it's all because of your work. And let me say this, okay? The law firm Halifax. When our people in Boston first went and hired that law firm, I wasn't quite sure what that law firm was supposed to do. But my goodness, did they make a very strategic decision that is working for us very well?
Effectively, yeah, they did. You saw an empty room at the United Nations.
Yes.
It's not by accident.
The other good thing that's happening with us is that La Republic cannot go into our territory and act like the brute they used to go in and act before.
Yes, because the people are increasingly vigilantes. The people are standing up and telling the La Republic agents that you are not just going to ride in here like the Wild West and do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, our citizens have had the equipment now to become, each of us is a reporter of what's going on on the ground.
Yes,
so just keep doing that.
They're empowered.
Yes. Parliamentarians are beginning to resign. Mbandam, if he follows through with what I heard him say yesterday, then I just expect other SDF and other so-called senators in our territory. Let me finish this sentence. I just expect other parliamentarians and other senators in our territory to also resign. What stopped me on my tracks was that there's a senator I think that guy is from Victoria, who stood in one little obscure video. I think that video was made in February, telling people who are elite don't think that they're elite. It's other people who call you elite.
No, what did he tell his people?
Well, he was telling there was a gathering that he was telling that gathering that they should go back to their territories and make sure that children go to school.
If at the end of the day, the ghost town is not crushed, then we would have wasted all our energy and ridiculed ourselves. I am a senator, but I live here. I live with my people. I crisscross this region. I feel, the people feel me. They see me, they hear me. And I hear them, feel them, and see them as well. But if as an elite, you cannot go back to your village, organize a group that should move from house to house, hold the hand of the child and children, and move them to school to meet the teacher.
I can't remember the name of that guy.
Well, we don't need the name, but the people did not listen to him. That is for sure.
So those people, he's supposed to be a senator. I don't know, senator of what? Senator of.
Well, you're talking about Mbandam. Yeah, he did make a pronouncement.
Yes.
So we want to see whether he's going to follow through with that.
Democracy has never been given on a platter of gold. Amen. Your freedom will never be given on a platter of gold. Amen. People money share pay, but you are good in market. Yes. This day, the day we God be making for we. I talk say they picking the way they grow. That some now when I don't know me. Because if I be come out my chambers, say I begin working for outside. Now this thing where I be look at this. Southern Cameroons, they don't be slaves for be a hand. Television. Or for years, they don't tell me and say, if this country break into two, now he be responsible. Yes! Because we, the English people, they don't push me for wars today. Now they resolve this. And I'm glad. I've been staying for house. I say, if I hear say one the march, some soldier pass for corner, I will join one for street. I don't need people for Yaoundé. When we must go for it today. I yellow. I must go inside Yaoundé. But say no, whether if you hear people. This time we don't write letter for you. Say me convene dialogue on Southern Cameroon. You know here. I'm glad say the people don't take their power. Yes. We are not taking on the power into one hand. Yes. We will continue until we see the light of day.
But what puzzled me was a release from my man Riba. You like to call him my man. And I was very concerned.
What did he say?
Because on a day like yesterday, where the people had come out en masse and spoken, Riba released a press communique, or at least it is attributed to him, where he referred to us as West Cameroon.
Again?
Mr. Riba, if you are listening to me or if you are watching me, please, if you want to be West Cameroon, you can go look for East Cameroon Republic and you people can be West Cameroon. There is no West Cameroon. There shall never be a West Cameroon. Take it from me.
You know, that West Cameroon is a name that was given by La Republique to us. If you want to free yourself from being a slave, you assume your own name, or you give yourself a name. But you cannot keep calling your name, you cannot keep calling yourself the name that the slave master gave you. Well, but he's your man. I'm glad that you begin to talk to him directly. Maybe he will listen to you better than me.
No, yeah, I don't owe any. I respect him for some of the courageous things that he has done. But like we do on this show, when you screw up, we'll call it as it is. It's called balls and strikes. When you screw up, we're going to tell you you screwed up. And I have made it abundantly clear to Mr. Riba that we are not West Cameroonians anymore. The people have decided that that time has passed. That is never going to be an option. That if it is a decoy, if it is a smoke screen that you are using, know that it is irritating some people.
And the time for decoys is past. There was a time when we used to use those decoys.
Yes.
It's past now. We are letting the rubber hit the road. Okay? Let the rubber hit the road. If there are any rocks there, we'll feel those rocks, but we'll be going forward. Now, one of the other good things that has happened is the creation of SCBC. It continues to be our weapon number one.
Yes, it is. It is. And, you know, there was Issa Chirimas who was laughing that he doesn't watch it. All of a sudden, he wants cable providers to ban it.
But how could that man be asking for what cable providers? Did Chiroma ever authorize it? You see, these people, they are so delusional, and they I think they're overestimating their power.
Peter Isoka came out and said people shouldn't watch it. He actually came to Bamenda.
But I want to still go back. How can you ban something you did not authorize? If you did not ban something and the thing came and it's functioning and you remember that before they went out and said we ban it, they had tried other things. They have tried technologically. They have gone to the South African government. They've done everything has failed. So that was just to come and lie to their people again that, oh, we are a government, we can do. No, you cannot do anything. No, and it's better for you to just stay quiet. Because you went and made an ass of yourself by saying that I ban it. Well, you know you cannot ban it because it's still showing now. And you listen to me.
Because they believe that our people still live in the 18th century or even 19th century where they have monopoly of information. They believe when they write those their communiques and send it to a journalist on CITV to just sit down and read it. But that is what the people should be listening to. That is what the people should believe. But our people know that in order for them to be informed, they need multiple sources of information. And I will advise some of those guys who call themselves journalists on CRTV, please don't just sit there and make a fool of yourselves reading some sort of a communique. If there is somebody at the presidency who is going to speak on behalf of the president, invite them to your studio and ask them questions based on their declarations. Don't just sit there like a robot and read something that has been prepared to you and then you go take your money.
I'm going to help those guys. Remember the gendarme who had the flag? That's I mean, the place has been made such a desperate place to live in that everybody is just on the game of survival. So these guys want to make a penny and pay their rents, and their question is, if I oppose now, if I try to tell the truth, I may end up like some of the CRTV journalists who have been thrown out of work, and some of them have to go abroad. They don't know how to get abroad. So many things go through their minds, and they decide that that's what I'm going to tell this lie. It's more a question of survival.
Well, I agree with you to an extent, but I will quote you a couple of examples. There is a guy that has been very instrumental on this struggle, and he is one of the people that I watch in the territory. His name is Ellie Smith. About a week or so ago, Canal 2 let him go because they wanted to censor what he was able to say on air as far as this restoration movement.
No, because La Republique took Canal 2.
Hold on, let me finish.
Okay.
He did not, even if it's La Republique who told Canal 2 to do that, he did not take that. He told them, yes, if you want me, you can fire me, but you are not going to tell me what to say or not to say. And he left. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is he dead? He is not dead. He found another job somewhere. The other journalists that left CRTV, Julius Wami and all the others who left, have they died? They have not died. There is something in leadership that they call a courageous follower. A courageous follower is someone that maybe you believe in your leader, but what you have to do in your role as a follower of that leader is to hold that leader accountable so that you can make whatever organization both of you work for a better organization. So even if you want to keep your job, please be a courageous follower, that you can hold those people who send those statements that you read on air with shame, with disgust on your faces, to come at least and answer a few questions for you so that you can clarify your mind and go home and sleep with a clear conscience.
And I totally take everything you say, and the examples you showed are good examples. But before these people, the people reading the news are the people who haven't, gotten those options settled. Once they have those options settled, they will take off. So I just was saying that the reason they're doing that, they know that is wrong because they read the same independent news that we read, and they went and saw on the Facebook of the presidency that here's Paul Biya going to go to Trump's invitation, which is a lie, because Trump sent out the whole of the introduction of all the presidents. Trump, when he was on the podium, he read all the names again, and the name of La Republique of Paul Biya wasn't there. So all these people know this, and while they're serving the emperor without clothes, they know that they're looking for their way out, and once they get it, they'll go out.
And if you are still looking for your way out, don't call yourself a journalist because you are not one.
No, you shouldn't take them as journalists.
Well, yes, that's what I'm saying, because that's what they call themselves. You are a disgrace to that profession. Just call yourself a mouthpiece for the La Republique. You are a hired hand, so just do it that way.
you know, now that you said that, I'm going to bring Eric Chinje, who worked for them for a long time, but he hasn't changed.
Well, you see, people go back and forth in life. Why did he leave? Because he did exactly what I am talking about. He went and lobbied and got an interview. How many of those interviews have you seen Bia give things? They gave that interview to Eric Chinje.
What, but
I've forgotten what year that was.
Yeah.
So, and he dared to ask the president some questions. So he did his job, left because he couldn't handle. They couldn't handle him anymore. So he left. Or
they kicked him out.
Or they kicked him out. Whatever happened. But then now maybe, I don't know, he thinks that things are only going to stay the way they are.
Now he's getting old and wants to go and go back home or something.
I don't know what his motives are, but unfortunately, he is on the wrong side. All of them who said, "Oh, we should do this and try to manage this. What there is nothing wrong with Cameroon that cannot be fixed by what is right in Cameroon." They are seeing it. The people don't believe that. If you cannot be a leader without the people. So if you are thinking that, and the people who said we were crazy, this was something just happening in the diaspora, the people back home don't want anything to do with this, I think they saw it yesterday. It is not us saying it. The world saw it. They saw it. So I hope they will change some of their views.
Yes, and we got into this because I was talking about one of the good things is SCBC. And the good thing that SCBC is doing is just trumpeting what you've been doing on the ground. They're collecting information and sharing it with the world. We're now collecting that information from you, and we're able to share it to ourselves as a collective, people hearing it at the same time. And also representing our own entertainment. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I think we're beginning to really come together as our own. So SCBC is one of those good things. I just thought that we end this by letting us know that we have accomplished very much. The right to go and march yesterday, as you did, was a right that you earned, because just a few years ago, if you did that, it'll be mayhem in the place. But now, I always remember Gojidinka says that once you stop being afraid, fear will change sides. Right now, it's not La Republic who is terrorizing anymore and we're afraid. It's they who are afraid. And the good thing for them is that we're doing the right thing, and it will end up benefiting all of us. And that's why the gendarmes are beginning to say, hey, give my own Ambazonian flag. And when they ask for it, please give it to them. My brother, we should continue to feed them.
Yes, we have to continue to feed them.
Yes.
Like I said, let us spend some time. If you are going to church, if you still believe in the church, or however you worship, please remember those of our brothers who fell, who were taken away from us yesterday. Remember them. Yesterday was a watermark as far as this our struggle is concerned. So keep them in your prayers, keep their families in your prayers, and always remember, they shed their blood so that you and I would have a country, a land, and a freedom that we so cherish. Thank you.
And let me add the statement to it that continue to disobey colonial leaders on the ground, because they're not there for your interest. They were there to be part of the problems that we've been facing, and continue to share what is happening in the territory with us, because we get our energy from what you do. And I'm sure when we take and react, you get energy from us too. So it's a team that cannot be defeated. I can tell you that it is this same team that created that allowed the SDF to succeed. But the SDF success was a success that moved us a little bit towards where we are now. But this is the fight that's going to get the devil out of our lives forever. Continue to do what you're doing, because it is through you that we do what we do. Thank you.